Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the very final stream, at least for this season. And this season meaning who knows when the next season starts. It could be summer, it could be next year. I really don't know. But basically, my wife's schedule is changing, and she's going to be home more often. Yay! But that means less time to stream, and my wife is more important than streaming. So we are going to not stream for a while. I said I'm still going to be working on the game. I love working on the game. I work on it all the time. It's a really fun hobby. So don't need to worry about the game dying or anything. It's definitely going to be still alive. So let's show you what we got so far. Unless the game freaks out. There we go. So this is the game. It's very cool. A couple things that I've done recently. I started using subpixels again, which is something that I decided against. I decided for it, and then I decided against it, and then I decided for it, and then I decided against it, and then I decided for it, because I have issues. So I'm using subpixels right now, and the reason for that is because it makes moving diagonally very, very, very smooth. It's also in preparation for when I move the camera around in bigger rooms, so that the camera's not so jerky. So, quality of life stuff. I also got the dialogue system working, which is very fun. A couple people have seen that. Oh, I forgot about that. For some reason, the background gets all way zoomed up, which is kind of cool. And then I got it working to where you could talk to NPCs. The only problem is that you can't stop talking to her. I can't get out of this. The reason for that is because every time that basically when you're exiting the dialogue box, it's also how do I put this? When you're exiting the dialogue box, it's also starting it up again because it's using the same button. Hold on, my thingy's all messed up. There we go. Instead of shake it around. Morse amalgam. It is infinite speak, and it's rather like when you talk to some people in real life. Welcome, by the way. It's good to see you. Okay, so let's go to the player object. I think the player is what's triggering the dialog box. Can't quite remember. No, it's going to be the dialog state because I put it in a state because I'm smart. I'm not smart. First of all, because I can't find my scripts. Where's my state machine? Thank you. Player state, state, dialog has to exist because it's doing stuff. Player dialog state. Oh, it's in player states because, yeah. See, I told you I'm not very smart. Okay. So, here's the thing. When state is new, it goes ahead and sets up it creates the dialog box. So what I have to do let's go to the dialog box. Hey man, how's it going? I mean, meow. Turn my volume down a little bit. I have to turn my volume way up for Mass Effect because for some reason Mass Effect is super quiet. So I have to turn all my volume up, and then when I do anything else, it like murders me. Okay, so in this frame, we're setting is done to be true, and then on the end step of the player, which is when the state runs, we're saying since is done is true, go ahead and set to the stand state. The problem is in the stand state, you're now able to push the button again and re-trigger the dialogue. I often open with meow. I don't see anything wrong with that. Excuse me. So I don't know if you guys heard, but this is probably the last stream for a little while. I'm still going to work on the game, for sure. Absolutely, 100%. But my wife's schedule is changing, and so I get to see her more often, and I'm going to stream a little bit less. So we'll see what happens. I'll miss hanging out, though, that's for sure. Okay, so I have to figure out how to say, yeah. So, in the GUI step, let's see. Oh, hold up. I think part of the problem is, no. I was going to say part of the problem is that the dialogue state's being constantly re-triggered, but I don't think it is because we can only currently switch to the dialogue state in either stand or walk. Yeah. Bummed with the streams going away, I realized the other day, but I've been following this game heavily for a while now. Yeah, I'm going to be bummed too. Probably do one occasionally every now and then, but yeah. Probably nothing regular. And yeah, you've been one of the coolest fans. You've stuck around since very early on, which is cool. Well, very early on since I went public, quote unquote. Dialogue shop. What if we do instance exists? If not instance exists. Oh. Oh, I need another parentheses. Parenthetical is the actual term for it. I shall continue to be here. I want to see this thing come to life. I want to play. I want to play too. And it's good that you'll still be here. Dang it. Okay, that didn't work. Trying to think how I want to do this. I could say only allow the dialog to be accessed on key release, so you have to actually release the key before it's available again. Let's do that. It's worth doing badly first. Okay, so the player object state, let's do here. If state is new, we'll say global dot, I don't know if global's good, but it's worth doing badly. Global is dialog open, I guess, equals false. So then what we can do is in the step, we can say if not instance exists dialog object. It actually is dialog open is really bad because that sounds like it's a dialog box showing. So I want to say is dialog available, I guess. And so if the dialog object does not exist anymore, then what we want to do is keyboard check released. Oh, that's interesting because of the held key. I'm gonna have to look at that before I do this actually. Check released. So I think part of my problem is not that I need all this stuff. I'm going to comment this out actually, but it's this. Because held and pressed are two different things, so I'm going to actually want to rename those. But okay, that works. And then if I go over yonder, hey, well that was easy, except for the fact that yeah, it switches to the other state too early. Okay. So that's sort of working. Let's rename this to pressed. Place everything. There we go. All right. So that's part one. The other part is I need to need to figure out how to say. I don't want to switch states yet because I don't actually want to immediately use whatever item you are holding. Will the official cloak color be white? Yes. It will be sort of a what you see in the bottom of the screen. Oh, that's a creature. It will be in the that's Link's Awakening. That's what I meant to click on. It'll be like this. It's kind of a bluish white. I could also see it being gray though. That's something that I might decide some different things later on. So maybe if I do here, if not instance exists dialog object, maybe that'll work here, because at that point, or at this point, that gives us an extra frame to make sure that the dialog box is gone, which means that the pressed won't be active still. Or not. Colorblind, so transitioning colors are hard to perceive for me. I was thinking if Thither makes it to the Switch to celebrate, I will make my own ripped and torn Waking Cloak. Oh, that would be awesome. Forgot you were colorblind, sorry. That'd be really cool if there was like a real like Waking Cloak. I think mentally I still think of it as gray, but I don't think that'll actually make it into anything. We'll see. It might be one of those things where like the Link's Awakening sprite is like green and white or off-white, but when you see other, like when you see art of him in game, he's got, or I guess oracles have better art of Link in game. They have green and brown and yellow and all sorts of different colors. The only thing is that the sprites can only take 3 colors, 4 if you include transparency. So there might be other colors. So I don't know. Probably white though, just for consistency. Let's do this. Actually, I don't need this anymore. And this didn't work. Well, it looks good for the spread of the character. Thanks. And I think so too. I think the gray added one too many colors. And so kind of having the very, very constrained palette, I think is good. So, I have to figure out how to have like, to where when you press it, it closes the dialog box, but it doesn't instantly switch to the stand state. It has to give it a few seconds. Problem is, I mean, I could do an alarm. Yeah, I could do an alarm. It's not my favorite solution. Can I programmatically, or do I need an event? So we'll say if alarm 0 is less than or equal to 0, state switch stand. That way it'll give it a little, like, a very, very short buffer, but still a buffer. I should really have put the lady over here. Uh-oh. Oh, if is done. This is the other problem, because I'm immediately switching to. So what if I just say equals 0? I broke it. Unable to find instance for object. Oh, right. Because it no longer exists. If object exists, dialog object, and dialog box is done, then alarm is 20. That way, hopefully that works. Let's go talk to her again. Nope. First doesn't exist. Unable to find any instance for object. Undefined. Whoa. Instance exists rather than object exists. All these very similar things. Uh-oh. It's still in the dialog state. Now, why is that? Because alarm 0 is going to be probably because it's -1. Hold up. Why is it continually setting it to 20? It's weird. check it with the equals -1. So if the alarm is not set, then set it. It's weird though that it's resetting it because the dialog object doesn't exist anymore. Strange. Is that not how you use an alarm? So this one-dimension array is used to get the current value for any alarms that the instance may have, or it can be used to set those alarms. There are 12 alarms built into each instance of an object, blah, blah, blah. So you need to stop an alarm for any reason. You should set its array value to -1, not 0. Calculated in game steps. An alarm with no actions or code in it will not run. It's annoying. So there's a thing I was looking up on how to do manual alarms. Maybe it's time. All right, so pause implementation that blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. Oh, well, okay, so obviously, yes. A custom timer is just going to be, is going to be very simple. I'm just having a brain fart, apparently. So it's basically just going to be timer timer equals -1. If instance exists and dialog box is done and timer equals -1, then timer equals 20. Timer equals clamp timer minus -1 max is going to be whatever 20. Or I could just say timer before it has no max. Timer, if timer equals 0, state switch stand. Let's try that. It's still 20 every time. Why is that happening? I do not understand. That's really weird. Hey Ben, how's it going? Kiwi, hush. So the problem is we're not actually going down. What if I just do timer minus minus? Just for kicks. Let's go talk to her again. Okay, that's cool. What the heck? Why is it why is it increasing? I don't understand. Oh. If timer is not equal to -1. Timer. Well, if timer is greater than -1, timer minus minus. All right. Malformed if statement, because that is a semicolon. There we go. Go talk to the lady. Wait. So it just delayed the attack? That doesn't even make sense. We'll just say 200. My dog wants to play so bad. Hey, I got a new follower. Welcome, Cyan Kirby. Super Cyan Kirby. Alright, so that worked. I've been stabbed. Oh, this. I thought you meant, never mind. I thought you were giving me a greeting, as in, hi, how you doing, stab. I have no awareness of things that are happening around me. I cannot fathom why it would be doing this. Because it's not even switching to the stand state until it's at 0, and we can't check if it's going to switch to the attack state. Oh, is input buffer open? But is input buffer open is false. So we're not queuing up anything. We shouldn't be queuing up anything. A friendly neighborhood stab, you know the drill. Yeah. Yeah. I know the drill. What I do not know is why this is not working. Because we're not switching to the stand state until we hit 0. Timer equals 0, state switch stand. Yes, that's good. Right? Yeah. Maybe I should do it like this. I can't figure out why it wouldn't work otherwise, but will the menu have a save option, or will there be a save location? There will be a save option. What I'm thinking at the moment, and this isn't final, is that there will be sort of like, save will be like save state. So if you save the game, you are quitting the game. And then when you reload that state. There won't be like save states, whereas in you like save in the middle of a boss fight and then you can reload if you fail. It'll be you save in the middle of a boss fight and you exit the game, and then when next time you come in, you'll say hello to the boss in the middle of the boss fight again. I think that's how it'll work, along with actual save points. And so, like, if you have a save state that you make in a really bad spot, like in the middle of a boss fight right before you get zapped to death, there is also save spots. And probably autosaves. Yeah. But that is not final, so I don't know. If timer is less than or equals 0, timer equals -1, state switch equals stand. Good. Okay. That's right. That's correct. So... Oh. Wait, how did I set the timer in the freaking damage state? Oh. If timer equals 0, no. This is confusing. And it doesn't need to be confusing. I'm very, very... I still don't get why it's not working in the other way, in the other format. Like, right? So, I'm gonna do all this crap. So this should work. Timer is less than -1. Good. So we go through here. Timer's not -1. The dialog object exists, but it's not done. So we skip over this. We're not setting the timer. It's still -1. If timer is greater than -1, it's not. If timer equals 0, it's not. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. We finish the dialog box. So it is done. The timer's not set yet. We set the timer to 200. Then if the timer is greater than -1, it is set to negative, or decrement it, however you say that. Timer equals 0, it doesn't, so repeat. Timer is not -1, so we don't reset the timer. We continue all the way down to 0, and then we switch to stand. We shouldn't be back here after it equals 0. But just for kicks, show debug message, another dialog state loop, I guess that's what I'll say. As for save options, as Will asked, I think that another option I'm considering yeah, this is Game Maker Studio 2. I'm very happy with it. Okay, this is exactly what I want. So yeah, this is Game Maker Studio 2. It is, in my opinion, a very big improvement over the original Game Maker. It's kind of janky a little bit still because it's new. It's just out of beta, like a couple months out of beta. But it handles a lot of stuff a lot better. For example, the room editor is very nice. If I can get the room to open. I don't know why the room isn't open. Here we go. So this is the room editor, and painting with tiles is infinitely easier. Layers are better. Yeah, it's just nice. Yeah. Anyway, it's also easier to do tile collisions, which is one of my favorite things ever. That's another story for another time. Anyway, as I was saying, the save state. Another save option I'm considering, and I'm still kind of going back and forth on this. I'll probably do a prototype or something, see how I feel about it, but the Ori and the Blind Forest had a really cool save mechanic where you would actually use sort of like mana. Yes, it's nice. It's very nice. You would use like mana to save. So if you didn't have mana, you couldn't save. So you'd kind of have to like weigh the pros and cons of like, okay, do I want to save state here? Do I want to save here? So on and so forth. So it's a really cool mechanic, and I think I kind of want to try it. But we'll see. You say, I always did tile collisions with inheritance anyway. Yeah. And you can do that. Like, you're talking like object inheritance. So like you have a collider object that's the parent, and then everything that you want to collide with takes that object as the parent. If that's what you're talking about, that works. And it especially works for games like this. But if first of all, with tile collision, so you have tile maps, you have this layer called collision, and that's actually not visible right now, where I just paint on these tiles, and they have almost no overhead. Like, objects are pretty heavy, tiles are not heavy, and so tile collision, among other things, helps with workflow, and it's super fast. It's crazy. Saving was one of my favorite features of Ori. If you didn't have energy, there were a few save points scattered around, but not many. In the expansion, they're also used as fast travel points. Yes. I didn't actually know that there was an expansion. That's really cool. That's a good thought. So as far as Ori goes, I really liked that save feature, and I liked kind of the gamification of saving. So it's definitely something I want to try. And as far as tile collision, game of games, there's actually a video by Heartbeast, and I did it without this video and kind of like killed myself trying to get it working, and I got it working, and then I did something that broke it. So his method is better, and it worked, and it stopped it from breaking, and it's a lot cleaner. So I'm going to actually post this. It's just a YouTube video with the Heartbeast tutorial on tile collisions. It only really works in GameMaker Studio 2 because GameMaker Studio 2 has tile maps. Definitive Edition, when I get the chance, has a new area and a few new skills. Cool. And the Blind Force. I didn't know that existed. So I have the, oh gosh, stop that. That's cool. Cool. Expires in 90 days. When was this released? This was released a year ago, and I just missed it somehow. Cool. I'll have to try that out. I really love a lot of the mechanics that Ori and the Blind Forest did, and they had such fluid movement. I think some of the most fluid movement I've ever had in a game, or I've ever played in a game, and I did like the save mechanic especially. So, I don't know, honestly, why this isn't working. So we close the dialog box, we time down 200 to stand, and then we switch to the stand state. That should work. If it's 20... Ori, definitely my favorite movement of any game of its type. Absolutely. All the moves are so much fun. trying to think of my favorite move, and it's been a while. I haven't played it in probably a year. Presses, but I failed at the tree part for a solid hour, but still had a ton of fun with it. The music helped. Music was great too. I liked the weird, like, kind of pseudo Novo African vibe it had. Ah! Why is that happening? So the question is it's probably that the fact that it's in this, I know why. It's because it's in the step. Which is kind of good because that's how I'm dealing with. Okay, I know why this is happening now. I think. See, no, I don't. Because I thought that having... If we check it's pressed, we've released it. Out of morbid... Hold up. Why? In the dialogue. Yeah. In the dialogue object, we're just not even checking that variable. We're just checking if it's pressed. But what if I say is released? What exactly isn't working? I will show you. Unless this works, in which case I won't show you. What's happening is whenever you talk and you press the A button in this case, or, well, it's J, but I'm calling it the A button. The buttons you use to advance through dialogue are the same buttons you use to use items. So it's sort of the contextual action thing that most games have. When you press A, it closes the dialog box, but it also uses the item at the same time, which shouldn't be happening. Like that. So when you talk to her, close it, and it also switches to the stand state, and then somehow after that switches to the attack state. Which I cannot say that I understand why that is happening. Because it actually has to go through a loop of the stand state first. Thanks, Moobot. The thing you joked about. Yes, the thing you joked about is the one that's not working. Which makes it even worse for why I didn't understand what you were talking about. Like, what are you talking about? The thing that I'm working on. So this is actually not really doing anything for me because, and that's what I don't understand. Is is it's still on a timer, so it doesn't switch to stand. And so by the time the timer runs out, you're no longer pressing that key. $200, that's 3 seconds? 3.5 seconds? Two, 3. Okay, it's not attacking. It did attack. But the key isn't pressed anymore, which is why it's a little confusing. I wonder if my check item state is just messed up. So let's keep that at 20. Check item state. So if DSQ had input button Qs, input button items A, or button items B. So I think that's what's happening. Is input buffer open, then add it to the input buffer, which seems to be what's happening. I'm wondering if it's entering in this at I think it might be the first one that I'm pushing. Because let's test this. So to test this, I think what's happening is when you first open the dialog box, it doesn't yet set is input buffer open to false. So what's happening is you're pressing J or whatever A to open the dialog. It puts that in the input buffer, and then it closes the input buffer, which I thought would work. And then after the timer is over, it keeps checking the input buffer, and then finally it says, oh yeah, I can use this item. So if I use B to close it, it should still use the item. And it did. Okay, so that's what's wrong. What I think needs to happen is if keyboard check pressed input. So is combo broken true? What I also want to do is I want to Q clear input button Q. That way, if you break the combo, it clears the input Q. And actually, I might even need more than that. Else, let's do this. Else, and then start the bracket here. There we go. Okay, so else, if the button is pressed while the input buffer is not open, it breaks the combo. And regardless of whether the button is pressed or not, if input buffer is not open, it should clear the input buffer queue. I think this should work. That explains why it's acting so bizarre. Awesome. I just need to reset that timer back down to like 20. Actually, I might not even need a timer at all. It might just work now. This collision is not good. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. So you can't... Yeah, that's all kinds of messed up. You'd have to be facing the NPC, which I will have to actually add code. All right, so let's try just taking off the timer. Yeah, why can't you step on poor Grammy's face? Because the collision doesn't work. Because tile collision works fine. I just don't have normal collision set up for most things. I'm trying to figure out if I need to like actually set up an individual collision thing, or if I just need to do. Awesome. That's actually really nice. Cool. Alright, I didn't need to do a timer at all. I just was being stupid. Let's get rid of the timer. Get rid of the timer. We don't need that. Yeah. Alright, one more time. Cool. I might not even want to do this in case somehow the object gets deleted before this runs again, but we can get there later. Okay, so that works now. We're not flipping out every time we try to talk to her. Let me check that off on my checkbox thingamajigger. I did add a dialogue state. Don't know what trigger with NPC means. Did I not add a checkbox for that? Okay, well, it's working now. I feel sad that I can't check something off. Let's delete that. Okay, well, it's working. Cool. All right. So next on the list, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. That's a different thing. That's a different. Oh, cool. That's a different thing though. Where's my list of stuff? Stop talking to lady. All right. Boom. Determine how to collide with the lady. All right. So I think. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the help thingamajigger. What did I just say I was doing? All right, solid is what I want to look up. MP potential step. Here's what we want. This function lets the instance take a step towards a particular position defined by x waggle, all the while trying to avoid obstacles. Well, the instance would run into a solid instance, blah, blah, blah. It will change direction of motion to try to avoid that instance and move around it. This approach is not guaranteed to work, but in most easy cases, it will effectively move the instance toward the goal. The function returns whether the goal was reached or not. Really appreciate the way the visuals call back to the old Zelda GBC games. Are you using the GBC palette? Yes and no. So what I'm doing is I'm sticking to the limitations of the palette, for the most part, in that each tile, or each sub-tile, which is 8 pixels by 8 pixels, can only have 4 colors. And then a tile is made up, a 16 by 16 tile is made up of 4 8 by 8 subtiles. So generally that means only 4 colors for a tile. I break that occasionally. with maybe an extra black, but not often. And sprites, such as things that move around on screen, are only allowed 3 colors because one of the colors is safe for transparency. So that's another constraint that I'm kind of sticking to, again, for the most part. So that's one part of it. And the other part is that I'm using sort of an off-white instead of an actual white. And that's actually about it. I think the off-white alone makes it look more retro. And all the other colors are just normal colors. I mean, I picked them because I like them and I think they fit together. But I think it's the off-white that really makes it look old. But I do stick with kind of the constraints of the Game Boy Color. Yeah. And I think that's actually one of the things that I don't always see in retro-style games, is they just use plain old white for shading or whatever, and it doesn't look right. Yeah. Function plays an object whether your checking has been flagged or solid or not. He's free. Check and see if the calling instance was collided with any instance flagged as solid. Here we go. It should be noted that for this to work, the instance running the code must have a valid collision mask. Okay. Okay. This is what I want. Let's try that. And the end step is when I move. If place free x plus x speed, y plus y speed, move. It's kind of doing a double collision check, but I don't really care. Should still run fine. Well, yeah. Sort of. I can't walk on her now, which is nice. This is so broken. And I don't really know why. I guess it kind of makes sense that you can't talk to her from her above her head. Although it'd be nice if she would turn around. I think another thing that helps with the palette is that I use white and black in a ton of things. So like instead of using a skin tone, I use white. Instead of using shadow colors for the most part, I use black. Well, that's not necessarily true, but white is like everywhere. And if you look at, here, I just posted this on my site. So I have kind of the old version where we use this beige as the skin color for everybody, and it ends up looking really kind of weird. Though if all white was this color, it might look okay, but I don't know, kind of looks weird. But the fact that I'm using the same white for like all light colors, I think helps. Keeping the amount of colors that I'm using down. Okay, so this doesn't quite exactly work. Place free game maker studio. I already know how to use it. I just don't know how to do it to where I can't use. Here's what I'm thinking. Problem is you can't move diagonally. And also the bounding boxes are way too close. So with most things you can slide along it if you move diagonally. So this is me pressing right and down or right and up. But if I go over here and I press right and up, I can't move, which is really annoying. Makes you feel sticky. And the reason it's doing it is because X and Y speed are both X and Y speed are both active, and so even though technically I'm not moving in the X direction, I'm still moving in the Y direction, in sort of the diagonal Y direction, and so I can't move. So what I think I want to do instead is if not place free X, that's a good question. Be nice to me, okay? If place free. Now, I was going to think if I do it afterwards it would work, but I would have to do it individually. What if I do it in here? Okay, so, just leave me alone. She's nice. I'm not doing anything to her. It's broken. I feel like I should be doing this with a rock or something. Here we go. If not place meeting X plus equals velocity vector to X. Y. That should work, right? Oh. What? I just used this, right? Oh, place free. Why don't you like this? Yes. So if it's free to move it, And then let's do the same thing for Y. Plus velocity vector to Y. Okay, let's try that. There we go. Much better. Okay. So much better. So now I can't walk all over her, which is nice. There's a bug on my screen. There. It's dead. The only problem is that. And that. So I can't talk to her from above her. I can only talk to her from the sides. I'm gonna cut this grass because I feel like it. Okay, but that's mostly working. The only two issues are that the subpixels are kind of showing up here. So if, well, they're not now. Yeah, there you go. So in between the character's like belly and her arm, there's like a partial pixel, and it looks really screwed up. So also on my list at some point is to actually have them lerp towards a whole pixel if they're not moving. Yeah. I have no idea if that is even a good idea, but something we're gonna try. Cut that grass, cut that grass. It always comes back though. That's interesting. So if you're standing in the grass, it pops you up after the screen moves down. Pop, pop. But if you're over here, it'll move you up slowly. It's weird. Okay, well, let's work on something else right now because I want to work on something more artsy. So let's go to the mockups. Let's do dialog box mockup. I want to add a name thingy. So, 1, 2, 3. So names, names should be like a maximum of trying to think how what a good maximum name length is. 8 characters is good. We'll just make it 8 characters for now and see what happens. Have you thought about using transparency on the edge of the cliffs, the bridge, so the edges or an all hard edge of the sprite make them look not so blocky? But I do love the art. I have thought about that, and the reason I'm not doing it is because, again, of the limitations of the Game Boy style. It's definitely something that I kind of have gone back and forth on. And some people have commented saying critiqued it, saying that they like it, and some people critiqued it saying that it looks really blocky. The reality is, I really kind of like the old school, like sketchy, weird feel. I mean, that's what you have to do. You if you use transparency in an old Game Boy game, then that transparent color has to be take up one of your 4 colors. You can only have 4 colors. So the cliff over here would have to be, so there's dark gray, other dark gray, light gray, and black. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 8x8. So that's all my colors. And I could cheat, and I could go like this, and it kind of looks okay. But I don't know. I kind of just like it to be a kind of old and janky. Maybe I'm just crazy. And I don't, enough people are like, yeah, that looks terrible, then I'll change it. It was like blocky, but in a charming way. Thank you. I didn't know about the limitation. Yeah, no, I mean, no problem. Like, I read up on all of these like limitations on the Game Boy, which is really fun reading, because I'm a nerd, and yeah, that was definitely one of the more interesting things. See, this is only like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's 4. So I'd have to do this. Unless this is a sprite, which it probably is. So is the name. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Trying to think if that looks good, if it needs any more extra embellishment. The problem is that when it's down at the bottom of the screen, hold up. Do I have an AC version of this? I don't. Well, that sucks. I thought I had a version with a whole bunch of layers. Here it is. Ah, here we go. Okay. Let's copy this. Here we go. So let's grab this whole thing. Let's see. Where did I have it in dialog box? So the draw origin is 64, 12, but if the player draw origin Y is 92. Okay. Oh, right. Well, so there. Problem will be is if the player is in the middle of the screen talking to somebody, because this will be up way too high. Well, we can always move it later. Okay, let me open the dialog box. Sprite. So we're going to give it an extra canvas size of 3, 4, 5. It's kind of weird. Okay, we've made that sprite. Let's go up to these sprites. I'm losing my voice. Let's go up to the sprites. You are the new dialog box. Origin is there. That way we don't screw up our stuff. And then let's give the lady a name. NPCs. Name equals no name, sad face. And then in the old lady, we'll set her name to be, this is not going to be her final name. I'm gonna call her Hilda. That doesn't even fit, but yes. Okay, so that's her name. And then in the dialog box, we will, if there are messages, we draw the sprite, text spacing, message length. Let's also draw a name. Now there's a way to draw text. So the text should be drawn at -1, 2, 3, 4. -410, I believe. Got these mixed up. +10 is here, origin Y is there. String is going to be the message equals the, how do we set that? Name equals string.empty. And then in the dialog box script, which is in the dialog folder for some reason, we set the dialog box dot name equals yeah, okay, so it's going to be argument 1. Actually, I've heard you're supposed to do this for some reason, and I don't know why, but I'm going to do it. I've heard it's better, and I don't know why. Alright, so the name equals argument 1. We don't have an argument 1. We're expecting an argument 1. Let's do this real quick. Param text array. We'll call this the messages to display. Param name equals name of the speaker, sign, etc. Display. Okay. And then in display dialog, wherever we call this, which is going to be here, nope, it's going to be here. We're going to say collision object id.name. Let's try that. And after this, as soon as it stops breaking, the dev is going to be the name of that. It's going to be bedtime soon. Uh-oh. So after I get this working, I forgot to actually do that. There we go. Yeah. So it's getting late. I'm probably going to wrap up after this, even if it doesn't work. So I can get ready for my day tomorrow and also go to sleep. Why is it still broken? I want to at least get it running first. Index was out of range. That's a little unexpected, actually. Maybe I should change the thing back. So let's go back to display dialog. Let's do this again. I don't know why that would break it. Because it didn't. This is very new. Index is out of range. Must be non-negative and less than the size of the collection. I don't get that. Yeah, same thing. And it's the list of like 12, 13. It's string. What in the world? Parameter name is index. Where? That's what I want to know. I don't know if I have index. I'm not sure I'm using index anywhere. I am, but not anything I'm working on. That's all commented out. Oh, why is it suddenly broken? That I didn't change that. Dialog state, dialog object. Kiwi, hush. There's nobody out there. Hey, hush. Kiwi, hush. There's probably a cat out there. She wants to like simultaneously make friends with him and scare it off. Well, I think my brain is too tired for this, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, and we'll figure it out later. It's been, oh man, it's been so much fun streaming, and I mean, I hope to pop on occasionally and do a stream here and there. So watch Twitter, watch, well, yeah, Twitter basically, and come say hi whenever I do. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep working on the game, regardless of what happens with the stream. Because like I've mentioned a lot of times before, this is way too much fun, and it's easily one of my favorite hobbies I've ever like just done. It's hard and rewarding, and I'm not going to give it up unless I absolutely 100% have to. Good night, Will. Yeah, keep following along. I know you're on Twitter and Tumblr and stuff. Kiwi. Kiwi's saying goodnight too. No, she's not. So, good night all. I hope that you guys have a great night, great week, great, yeah, all that stuff. See you guys later.